It's my pleasure to welcome Mr. P. Shankar. He is the Vice President, Information Utility, National E-Governance Services Limited. His educational qualifications are BCom, CAIB, CIA, currently pursuing CS course. He has overall 40 years of experience in corporate banking, retail banking and internal auditing. He joined in SBI as a probation officer in 1982 and was with them till 1995. Then he moved to ICICI from 1995 to 2001, with ING Vaishya Bank from 2001 to 2015. Retired in May 2015 and with NESL from April 2017. We welcome you, sir, and hand it over to you. Please explain us about the information utility, and we would like to have a question and answer section in the end. So anybody would like to know the use of IU, even though we have read in regulation part and also little bit theory part, now he will be definitely deliberating on the practical side of it. Welcome you, sir.
Good evening, and thank the SIRC for giving this wonderful opportunity, and my senior and friend Mr. Vasudevan also, he introduced me to SIRC here, and I came here with that idea that as an information utility, I will tell what we are doing, what we are proposing to do, and what is it that we can do for the insolvency professionals. I thought we will get feedback. As an information utility side, we have met your agency IP, Institute of Chartered Accountants in Noida. We made a presentation in front of Mr. Pant with some of the around 50 IPs, and we met individual IPs with Alvarez, Marcel. We got some feedback. What is it that we can do to the IPs? Because this IBBA also wants the IUs to do something for the IPs. In that, we have been going around. Last Saturday, I made a presentation in the Company Secretaries Institute in Bangalore. And we also, some informal association of IPs, we made some presentations. So anyhow, we will go ahead. And I'm from National E-Governance Services Limited. First, I will tell you about National E-Governance Services Limited, which has been registered as a union government company. But we don't have any control by government except the CAG audit every year. But we have been promoted by 13 banks, 3 insurance companies and CDSL. And our chairman is Mr. Rangachari, who was earlier chairman, is CBDT and IRDA. And we have a very good board with Mr. Sadagopan from IIIT and Mr. Nivedita Haran is a retired IAS officer from Kerala. And we have 3 nominee directors from State Bank of India, ICICI Bank and LIC. And Mr. Diostili is very soon joining us as an independent director. So, and we have a good steering committee or advisory committee with the chairmanship of Mr. Vinod Rai, earlier CAG, Mr. Deepak Dave. We have some good pedigree and good people to advise us and guide us. So, and we are the first and as of now the only IU, and we have started operations from operational creditor side. As it happened with IBC, the first set of people who filed default all were operational creditors. Even today, I think almost equal number of people from financial creditors and operational creditors are filing with NCLT. And we have our systems ready, and operational creditors are submitting information, and some of them very successfully. Even just day before yesterday, one operational creditor filed with us and sent a notice to one of the big public sector undertakings for 2.8 crores, which was lying with them for unpaid for 580 days. And when the notice went, they paid. So we have got a good feedback, so we are all feeling happy about at least we could be of, this is a beginning to be. So with this, we have an office in Bangalore and Mumbai. Bangalore is our IT system and our administrative office. And you all know about IBC and IU. I don't have IBC, so I will not talk about IU. But you have to I have to say why we are here. Then only it will say apart from being information repository. We are not a credit depository, which is being now discussed about. There is a committee for that. But we also have throw our hat in the ring, saying that we can become the credit repository because we have every qualification and the systems and all. But anyhow, we are just starting with our sole objective as per the license condition is only IU, for only information utility. Any other business related to the IBC. So if I have to do any other business, we will have to do in subsidiaries. We have already floated two subsidiaries, one for the asset aggregation and another one for the eKYC, which were all in the e-governance area. So we have started this IU. IU has been designed as, this is the first time in any part of the world under a bankruptcy law, this sort of an institutional intervention has been brought in. Because like in India, we have peculiarities. Having worked in different banks, I know the problems which faced by the banks, bankers, different bankers. It took around 7 years for any case to be accepted in the court of law, basically because there is asymmetry of information. Like I have some information, the borrower comes and gives another information. There is a lot of frivolous appeals, so it was getting delayed. Even after that, when the decree comes, I can't do anything, because by the time I execute the decree, it is another 10 years. So the asset value is almost nil. So we were losing much. So to bring a time-bound resolution, the IBC came. And for the time-bound resolution, they brought in this, one of the pillars has information utility. So we will have an authenticated information from all parties. So there is a symmetry of information available. So I get information from the financial creditors and operational creditors, but basically from the financial creditors, I will get an authenticated information. I will give it to the borrowers for their authentication. This authentication is what differentiates us from the credit information companies. I'll just go through. So authentication, authenticated value, which will ultimately help you also, like in the bankers, when they once file default, the authenticated information available with the information utility will be taken as a good evidence. I won't say like conclusive evidence, but it will be considered as a good evidence, and there are no disputes about that. Particularly section 99(3), which comes for individuals and partnerships, it says any information available with cannot be disputed. At least for corporate side, it doesn't say that, it's not that draconian. It says yes, that is enough evidence, but on the individual side, it says it cannot be disputed. So it is in the interest of the financial creditors and operational creditors to file information with IU. And when we file with information, what are the benefits to the financial creditors, operational creditors, and IUs? For the financial creditors, definitely that information available, authenticated information at any point of time. And this is the first time you are going to get information from all financial creditors and also operational creditors. NBFCs will have to file, mutual funds will have to file, housing finance companies, all of them have to file information. Any financial creditor has to file information as per section 215(2) and now 235A, has to. And even all the regulators have directed their regulated entities to submit information to the information utility. So with this, you will have a 360-degree view of borrower. For the financial creditor, when he gets an information, when I have to sanction a loan, I'll have to just tell the borrower to get a statement from on IU. So it will throw out all his borrowings from all the entire system, and also his position, latest status and all. So that gives you pre-sanction facility. And even once in a year, once in 6 months, you get a statement, and for credit monitoring also it is being useful. And above that, these are all commercial side. On a legal side, indisputable evidence is the most important thing. Okay. Now for IU, as what we can do to the RPs, IRPs. We first thought, already around 21 IUs have registered with us, not submitting information as of now. What we thought was very simple, we will provide a platform where you will come and submit all data. Whatever documents you have, you can put there and all. But IBBA then started discussing with us, saying that you have to do much more to the insolvency professionals, because the responsibility on their shoulders is very high. Okay. So what we can do, it's almost, to put it very crudely, I can say that we will be like an extended secretariat for IPs. That's what we are, certain things we are planning from the day you become as an IRP, because you have 30 days to serve the notice, call for the committee of creditors. Now, of course, valuation may not be required, but lot of other things, getting the claims, collecting them, putting everything, like minutes, meeting. So you need an elaborate secretariat, which all can be done digitally, electronically on the IU platform. That's what we are proposing. this is how we collect information, how it can be used in, these are all the stakeholders within this thing. We can do like, when you are appointed as an IRP, immediately we start accepting your registration with the order from the adjudicating authority and your registration certificate. You start from like, you can serve the notice because we have already received the default notice and broadcast in the system. So all creditors will know. As of now, there are not much. When it is fully in operation, all the creditors who are registered with IU, not only with NESL, any IU, because there is an interoperability system is available, which is like the technical standards are yet to be announced by IBBI. So when it comes, because nobody has come so far, so when the technical standards come, you will have an interoperability. So wherever you are, you will get, like, we will broadcast this news of default. So all the creditors will know, and they will know who the IRP is. So all your claims can come from the IU system. You don't have to wait for that. We can collate that. We can get the information from all the creditors, collate them, put them. So it will be beneficial to them also, and it will be beneficial to you also. And when you organize a committee of creditors, you know who are the creditors who are there. And you can call for the committee of creditors. We will, all your meetings, e-voting, like you, instead of typing your minutes, you can type it on our system. It can go to them, and all the committee of creditors members can put their digital signature, authenticate, and it can get stored. So everything you do in paper can be done digitally, can be done stored. See, you are supposed to do a contemporaneous records as per this thing. So contemporaneous records can happen on digital platform, like in a authenticated way. You put it so that even nobody can blame you saying that you have changed something later on. They send you with their authenticate, like digital signature authentication. When I say it is with digital signature, you put your digital signature, it becomes final. So nobody can dispute later on saying that. So this is one way we can, committee of creditors, claims we can collate and give it to you. These are all the things, to begin with. And then what happens, valuation certificates can be stored here, and whatever, like when you take over the management of the company, whatever decisions you take, like all those mails or all those decisions, whichever you have been sending to the banks where the committee of creditors have to take a decision, all those things can be stored. This is till the end of that we are seeing appointment of liquidator, auction. So from the beginning, for you the beginning happens when you are appointed as an IRP, to the liquidator and settling of the accounts, we will be there with you. See, this is just to say, of course everybody knows this, because of the tight time period which you have to work, like you can forget about the documentation of all your activities so that you can focus on what you can do. And we are also trying, of course it is in the drawing board level, we are trying to get as much information as possible with IU, so that, see, your success depends on a good information memorandum. When you give a good information memorandum, like the bidders who come, the guys who are distressed asset management, guys, funding guys, or the vulture funds, what they call, if they come, if you have enough adequate information, that the premium which they are willing to pay is much higher than what it is. For example, there is a Pacer Corporation in USA, which has all information about all the Chapter 11, Chapter 7 companies. So if every bidder has adequate information to take a considered decision, informed decision. So your bidding level goes up. So success of an IP also, how much money you can get, how much haircut you can reduce to the bankers. That is how. So we can be of an information portal to the IUs at one place. So we are working out. We want feedback from you. We are also trying to tie up with CMIE, and also at one place you can get every information which you can use for settlements. That's what we are saying. We have put it this because to show that time-bound resolution. This is credit repository. Greater ecosystem. This is basically because of IBBA's this thing which we are doing. Now he has, in fact, we have been instructed to follow to integrate the e-auction platform also with IU. so that like the smoothly it forms by IRP. If resolution happens, it's good. If resolution doesn't happen, liquidation happens, then you don't have to go anywhere else. Either we create our own e-auction platform, or otherwise we will be tying up with the existing e-auction platforms, which can be, so that you don't have to go anywhere else. It's like a supermarket bouquet of products available at one place. This is communication exchange, document management. So you file all your documents, it will be put in like folders where there will be a search engine, whichever is committee of creditors. If you want regulatory reportings on a regulatory folder, anything related to the bank's committee of creditors, anything related to your management of the company, decisions taken can be put it. So at any point of time, if you have to search, just it is easy to search and retrieve the information at any time. That's one. And e-auction module, we are just yet on the drawing board level. Centralized collection of funds and all, and end of the thing. MIS and reports. Interim finance, we are talking with some of the guys who are like 8 capital and all. So they also can have a link. We cannot, we will not be an agents to get this thing, but we can provide links so that and you get good information. They can also tie up with you, so that without moving much of around, you can everything which you need to successfully manage the company, resolve the problems, or to liquidate the problem. Everything which you need, we will provide over a period like interest. But we need lot of feedback from you. What exactly is the thing which you would like to have from us? And this is what we have, allocation of IP assignment, public announcement, newspaper advertisement, claims verification, all this which I have in this thing, information memorandum, minutes of meeting. We have already in discussion with all those guys who are providing this minutes of e-voting and all. We have already tying up with them. And communication, document management, everything. Each step of insolvency resolution process. Now about this is what. List of linked, you can collect it from the, of course claims have to come to you, but if the creditors are in the system, you can find out the major creditors, and they can also, since they will know, they can send the information through the IU to the IRP. We will have your portal, they can send information through us. And bifurcation of type of creditors, voting rights. This is communication exchange for your email, all your storage of all. Document management is maintaining of and uploading all the relevant documents. I understand that you will have tons of documents depending upon the size of the operations of the company which you are handling. There will be tons of documents which you have to handle, which we will. And because to begin with, even the loan documents which you are submitting itself will be we are also coming out with the e-contract. That will take time, of course, but all the banks are going to upload their documents as per the regulation, IU regulation. They will have to form C, they will have to submit the documents also. But they are, of course, because of the geographical spread, it's not going to happen overnight. But there are some banks, like the private sector banks, and even in the public sector banks, there are 2-3 banks who have already scanned and centralized all their documents, so electronic. So we will get all those documents. So you don't have to go for physical documents also. And they are all at low administrative cost. Secure and easy retrieval, definitely. Yeah. This is what I was saying. Provide an online minutes of the meeting module. You can set an agenda for the meeting and communicating the same. Everything takes care of automatically. The agenda goes to the creditors from the system, and when they join, who have come, their acceptance, and the minutes also go to them. Everything. This is just one screenshot. I don't think I'll have. Yeah. Yeah. This is just an example how it will e-voting. Somebody was asking just before whether you will have. We are tying up with all these things. E-auction is we are just planning. E-auction, everybody, platform, you know, we are going to tie up with them, or we may create our own this thing. So these are all the stakeholders which already financial creditors we have tied up with 10 agreements we have entered, and around 6 banks have started giving us information, like, you know, financial information, but at a lower level, because we are also stabilizing the system, so we don't want to take the entire load. So we have got sample data submitted by around 6 banks, which is working very successfully. A lot of operational creditors have filed information, but operational creditors come to us only to file the default, the notice, demand notice, once they might issue the demand. Otherwise they don't, like, it's very difficult for them to come to us to file every invoice and get it authenticated. So we expect operational creditors to come only at the time of default, which they have already around 35 guys, 35 operational creditors have started using it, and there are many more like in the queue which they are coming. Why need an action platform? You know, like recently there was a case where, of course, even in spite of all these things, accusation can fly. Binani Industries has filed a complaint against Mr. Vijay Shankar, saying that that company, he has valued at 73 crores, whereas the value is 130 crores. They say he has done this with the idea, intention of helping some bidders. A complaint has been filed against him. That is, the complaints can happen definitely, but when it happens with the authorized valuer, everything comes, you know, even the bankers have accepted authenticated information available, you know, at least you can counter that with saying this is like, you know, he hasn't done much. So those things, you know, it will be a transparent this thing. You are doing it on a third party platform, which is almost in a public sector nature. And so there cannot be any, like, you can say, like, it's not meddled with. This information has not been meddled with. This is for the, and this is how the e-auction platform will work. Of course, this is too much of this thing. Then here, when you sell that, what are the things which you can do? Like simple put, I don't think we need to waste time on the screenshots and all. Simply this thing, this is how the action platform will work. So these are all the ideas we have for the IPs. We will, like an extended secretariat, which we will do for the IPs. Like if we need a lot of feedback from you, what is it that you would like us to have more at a low administrative cost for the IPs is our idea. If you have queries, questions, you can ask me. Yeah.
Can you talk about interim finance?
And interim finance, yeah. See, interim finance, what we are meaning is, interim finance, there are people who are talking to us, saying that, you know, this is like a portal where in our platform, in our website, you know, all these guys come, and depending, you can find out, you know, or they can reach you, like they know which are all the cases where you are the IP or IRP, and they can come to you. That is what we were saying. The information memorandum place, all those guys were saying that 8 capital people were saying that if the information memorandum is powerful and whatever you are giving to the NCLT, if I can get to know what it is, I can bid much better. I can give, you know, because I can take a considered, informed decision on that. So can you give me like that? He was only saying about the Pacer Corporation. He says it's easier in United States for any such resolution professionals, whoever it is, because he gets a lot of information. Because here the information you'll have to run around, you know, various places. So if you can collect all these things, including cases. So like, you know, they have that iProbe. Sybil has an iProbe which is used by all the bankers. It gives all information, whichever has come positive or negative in the newspaper in the last, anything which has come against about that company in papers, it's available. So if I can get that something, so you can connect to, I don't have to create anything. I can keep something, give connections to you, like, you know, through me you can get all the information. So your information memorandum can be much, but the information contained in the memorandum can be much better. That is what is ultimately going to prove a success of an IP. See, apart from managing the company, facing the wrath of the promoters, like getting, like, you know, the threatening calls, using the police, even it happened here also in Chennai also. So all these things, you know, like you can rely on an IU saying that yes, at least on the documentation part, on the information side, you know, I'm safe. Like it's so that I can concentrate on my work. That much, like, you know, assurance we should be in a position to give it to you. That is what is our idea is. we will not be provided. That's what we are saying. Yeah. No. Sir, IU is simply even, see, we are only, no, correct. No, we said interim finance, this is what we will do. Like interim finances, we will be linking. All these guys will be there, which can, like this information available with IU can give a better interim finance. We cannot do anything because as per the core services, section 3(9), it says we are providing a platform for verification, authentication, getting information electronically, all these things. So we cannot do anything. We cannot validate any information, we cannot authenticate any information, we can only provide a platform for getting it verified and authenticated. So here more information, like we can connect you to various persons. We cannot do any interim finance, definitely no. Every month on a monthly basis. Yeah. So we had formed a user group with IBA, Indian Banks Association, 6 banks, 3 nationalized and 3 private sector banks, Canara Bank, Bank of Baroda, State Bank, ICICI, HDFC and Axis Bank. We have discussed around 12 rounds of meeting. We have designed or slightly tweaked the Form C, which is given in the regulation. We cannot change the structure as per the regulation, but we can change some of the fields and all, which we have done. And the processes we have done. In the meeting, they have decided they are comfortable submitting information on a monthly basis. We are ready to take on a daily, weekly basis also. But since they are already giving to credit information companies on a monthly basis, they feel comfortable giving in monthly basis. And it may differ. Like, I don't, retail loans, like housing loans when they come. I don't think they can even come give us in a quarterly basis also. So it depends on them, where they are comfortable. But for a running account, like cash credit and all, it is better to have as short time period as possible. So that any change, every month we have to send it for authentication to the borrower. Updates are, but the major difference between Sybil and us is they use the data. Commercially they use the data because they use credit matrix and give you a credit score. We will not do anything. In fact, we will not even see the data submitted by anybody. There will be only exceptional cases where only the head of operations will authorize 1 or 2 people to see the data. It will all flow through the platform to somebody, and the message, like only the message will go. Financial creditor gives me the information, it stores with me. So I send a mail with a link and password and login IDs to the customers. He comes to my platform and authenticate. So I will not even see your this thing. CIC can use the data. Yeah, as of now we are stating that for per MB, because it's going to be only documents as of now we are thinking to begin with. So per MB we are saying 12 rupees. It means per page it comes to around 3 rupees of a A4 size paper, whichever document you are uploading. IRP, because your expenses are. Yeah, it has happened. Yeah. That is poor. I think the bank was also poor and the customer also. Okay. No, even the bank must have been poor, otherwise they could have debited and given to. I know. Correct. Yeah, dead. I know. Yeah. No, you can't expect from the banks, definitely. Yeah. Yeah, correct. Yes. Yeah, and here you may have to pay even 3 years in advance also, because all this information have to be kept for 3 years with us, and you may have to see, some of the big guys are able to pay from. I don't know whether I don't see any reason why you cannot, whether you can debit the customer the company's account and pay us. You don't know. IRP has that capacity because you have everything. Like you are running the management. I know. But see, anyhow, you will have some running account. Of course, in some cases you have to, unless you raise the money, it will be. But more and more guys are now coming, like Interim Finance, more and more people are coming now. More and more people are coming. And I am very sure, like with when it evolves, we get more information and available, like more, it will come through definitely. That's what is. Yeah. Yes, sir. No, 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 not all IRPs. Only around 51, 52 people have done that. Yeah, 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 yeah. See, our net worth expected estimate, like required net worth is 60 crores hours, because it's all to only reinvest in information the structure, IT structure only. So we have to charge them. We are charging them. Our fee is displayed in the website. We are charging 500 rupees for the first facility. Suppose let's say like every customer will have around 4 facilities. So he may have to, we will have to pay 800 rupees per that is company, entity, distinct entity will pay 800 rupees. The bank will pay, naturally the bank will debit the customer and pay to us. Yes, as of now. And we were charging even operational creditors, it's 200 rupees we are charging. Yeah, irrespective of the amount. And there that 800 rupees, like per annum we are charging, but they submit information every month. So 12 months they submit information. We will have to send it to the borrowers, like through email or mobile messages, and get the authentication and tell them the status. So there are a lot of work involved. See, we understand that we do not have the responsibility of getting it authenticated, but we do not want to escape saying that. So we are trying to help the companies. Yeah. Guarantor. Yeah, correct. There are three scenarios. One is he authenticates, one is he disputes. So it's very clear. If he disputes, it goes back to the bank. They will have to understand, the relationship manager has to talk to the customer, find out why he is disputing. Is there any genuine reason why he is disputing? That is. So then he has to sort it out. The question is the cat on the walls, who are not doing anything. They are just keeping quiet. So the banks have told us, you give them time 7 days and send a reminder on the 3rd day. Today I sent to you saying that 7 days you will have to authenticate. You come to my portal. And the 3rd day we send a reminder if he doesn't authenticate. And then again 6th day we send a reminder. 7th day, if he doesn't do that, 8th day we just tell the bank's financial information submitter saying that this is the status of authentication. What happens if he doesn't authenticate is a big question every bank has asked, because you are adding another headache to the financial creditors. If he disputes, because some borrower can straight away dispute, saying that without any reason he can dispute. And when you go to the court saying that I have already disputed. But fortunately, so far NCLTs have understood the intent of the law and they are following, so they are not doing much. We have not given anything, but they are not allowing any dispute. But what we did, when the question came from all the banks, you are here to get the authenticated information, and we are expected to store only authenticated information. As per the obligations of 214E, it says you have to store only authenticated information. So if we don't get authenticated, what happens? So we went to some NCLT and NCLAT members. They said, if you can capture that, his behavior, like what he does with this information. So what we have done, we will send you an email. We will the date and time it was delivered to you. When it was opened, we will capture the time and date when it was opened, when he clicked on the link and came to my portal, and how long he was in the portal. All these things we will capture and give you. This is the status of his position. The NCLAT member said, if you can give that behavioral pattern, we will take it, because you can't claim it's against the principles of natural justice and all. You have been given enough time, you have not authenticated. See, silence as per this thing is not acceptance as per a contract, but there are some exceptions which have to be accepted. In this case, they know, lawyers say, in many cases which they have stated, like in the case of Innovative Industries also, they said you were aware that you have taken the loan, you were aware that you have to pay back. In the corporate, at least they say, like you have a paraphernalia of people with you who can tell you all these things. So you can't say that I didn't know, like I dispute and all. You should have disputed at the earlier time itself. See, unlike operational creditor, there is no chance given to him for dispute, for financial corporate debtor. Operational creditor side, you can still say there was a dispute existing earlier. Here he cannot say. So the NCLT member said, if you can capture and give me this behavioral pattern, can be of help, but it has to be tested. At least in one case, like a judgment comes, a decision comes, then only we can say that it will work. This is what we can, like as this thing, we can help.
How do you know it is authentic? What type of arrangement is there
Yeah.
between you and the borrower?
See, borrower, there is no, actually, see, the code mandates the creditors to submit the information, but it does not mandate any guy to authenticate, which we have already told IBBI. It may not be possible under law to mandate a borrower to authenticate, because it may be saying that, coercion. You may, like, people may say that you are, because since you are in a position to give me money, if like you are forcing me to authenticate. So what we are saying is, you will have to play all this, sama beda dana danda. So we are saying educating. First we have told all the banks, which already some of the banks have introduced is, they are putting it in their sanction communication. We will be submitting information to NIU, they will write to you, you will have to authenticate. Put it in the contract, loan contract, documents, put it on that. So, and you also educate them. That is one way. We also say, like, we are working with IBA to spread the message. We have even gone to FICCI and made a presentation. We are also tying up with ASSOCHAM and all those stuff. So tell the borrowers what happens, if you, like, it may help. It will help. It will be 90% help to the creditors, but still it will help you also. So we are telling them what is the importance of authentication. So that is, one is awareness creation and education of the all the parties concerned. Second thing is, you have to force them to authenticate. One is by, like, binding them in a contract. Incentivize, you can do that. You say, like, if you authenticate on all the 12 months, like, I will reduce the interest rate by 2 basis points or 3 basis points, or your processing fee I can reduce. These are all the ideas which we have sold. Credited? Yeah. He will have to authenticate the first of loan. Yeah. Even then people, see, they start dispute from the documents. Okay. That they start from there. They, okay, I have taken the money. He can say, like, I gave a check on such and such day as a repayment. That has not been credited. Okay. He say, like, if the bank has debited some penal rate of interest. So he can dispute that. This was not in the contract. You have done that. All those, every outstanding he can question. What is this? According to me, this is should be the outstanding. So every month we are saying. So starting from the loan contract, if everything gets authenticated, we can use that. And another thing, authentication, what we are saying, and further to, one is incentivize him and like penalize him by like charging some penal rate of interest if it is possible. And then we are also saying, like, chartered accountants can help. Like, you don't, like quarterly audit and all, you don't certify the accounts if it is not authenticated. So you yourself are not authenticating, how can we rely on the information? You can say that. Yeah, yeah, digital signature. One is digital signature for corporates. For individuals, we are using Aadhaar-based e-signature. Yeah, Aadhaar-based OTP. Yeah, we will be doing that. Yeah, board resolution. Yeah, company. He will authenticate somebody, authorize somebody to authenticate. So that guy will use the, like, his digital signature. In the case of individuals, it is his own. Like, yeah, yeah. Board resolution only once. That is enough. Yeah. No, as of now, only documentation is started. All other things are in the pipeline, but very soon we will. But see, before going into, like, the development, we want lot of feedback, like, this is what we want. This also, like, some of the ideas, we met Mr. Satish Gupta, who is the IP for SR Steel. So with, like, he gave us lot of information because he has faced the difficulties and all. Then we met some of other IPs, and we met the chief executives of all the IP agencies in IBBI's office. They also gave some ideas. That's how we started developing. It is in various process. TCS is in, like, even e-contract for this module also, IP module also under development, but we are just getting feedback so that we can come with a better product. Because as of now, we are the only IU, and no other person has come for license also so far. They are all just waiting and watching whether there is money in this. That's why, existing, all old loans.
If and if it's for the old loans, how about you linking with the click data, because they would have given the click data.
Yeah.
And are you using some of the click data also? What?
No, no. We'll
And this is for the for whatever the 6 banks what you said. You have taken into account of all their financial transactions.
Yeah. See, if suppose let's say like there are in State Bank of India, a smaller bank, we will say like, it's like here Indian Bank may have around 1 lakh distinct entities. Okay. In corporate they may have 50,000, let's assume 50,000 customers, and each customer may have 4 to 5 facility, cash credit, demand loan, term loan, bank guarantee and all. So all these things will be the records. So 50,000 multiplied by 5 will be the number of records Indian Bank will be giving it to us. For the existing customer, as on a cut-off date, the banks can decide. They can decide today, whatever is the outstanding in the existing accounts, I will give the information to you. So it can happen. New, as and when the disbursement happens, you can start. That is how it happens. No, entire live account also. Yeah. It is very clear, 313 very clearly says what is the financial information which has to be submitted. It includes when he is solvent, what is the liability, and then default, even like add financial statements and cash flow also.
Only liabilities, or say for example a savings bank
No,
balance also?
no. That is, we are coming out with a subsidiary called asset aggregation. There also, but we will not hold it. We are not supposed to hold it. We will give you a link. Like if you are going to a bank for a loan, see they say they want to know which are all the information you want to give to us. You will say like I have a savings bank of ICICI Bank, savings bank with State Bank of India, fixed deposits with all this information. Then the link will go to all the banks. There is a consent framework. You will give a consent and we will send to all these banks with the consent. They will give the information. It will go to the loan sanctioning company. So they will have a detail of what is your position. And it will only flow through. We cannot store it. That is coming in another company, asset aggregation. That is under RBI.
How do you ensure that these information which you receive is not kind of misused or go into wrong hands?
Correct.
Because there are lot of these
Data privacy
loan
issues.
Yes.
data privacy
Yes.
mainly then.
Yeah. See, that is why I said, we have told to have 60 crore of net worth only to invest in IT systems. So we have to have all the certification, one, and we have to have an audit of IT system audit every year. That is one. And we have also the technology committee. We have a technology committee which is headed by the Professor Patak of IIT Mumbai, Mr. Rajendran of NPCI. So we have people who are advising us on where to store, how to store, what are all the things. And we have also internal control matrices, access matrix, control matrix we have. So inside NESL, only the operational head and 3 or 4 people will have access to the information. And we have a secluded operation area with access control. So nobody else can go. It's not yet started because the operations have not started. So we have physical controls and electronic controls also to reduce misuse of this thing. And like any bank or anything, our USB ports, everything is like, we can't have in a mobile, we can't get the Wi-Fi. All those preliminary precautions, basic precautions are taken, and only 2 people can see. If anybody else has to see, it has to be. And we are signing an agreement with the bank saying that confidentiality, and we will indemnify you if there is anything happens. And we are supposed to take some insurance also, which we are also taking.
Or all the accounts linked with other
In the sense, no.
But what is the purpose of this asset aggregation?
The
What is the purpose of this asset aggregation?
asset aggregating, like in the individual housing loan and all, they want to know, personal loan and all, they want to know the asset value
So
of.
after this IU comes into operation,
No, it will not come in IU. It will not.
rating,
No. Sybil rating. No. Sybil rating will see. Sybil rating may anyhow go because now people are moving from this Sybil rating to social behavior based. Lot of there. I think next time when you go to this thing, they may ask a optometric test also, something like IQ test or something. They are doing they are trying to find a behavioral thing now. They are moving from because here see what happens, even the information with Sybil, much of the information what garbage in, garbage out. The banks are not taking it very seriously, but still Sybil is definitely much better than Like, bankers are fairly comfortable with Sybil rating. But still there it has its own, so they are moving into I know a company which knows, like they with your permission they store lot of information. He knows, the company knows, like next weekend which restaurants you go, which if suppose you are using 3 different phones, which phones, like Aircel or Airtel which you are using more, and he sends you an information. Like if you are using ICICI credit card and Citibank credit card, he says if you use this ICICI Bank credit card, these are all the restaurants which you give discount. So much of information they capture. We cannot do that. So they are using that. Some of the banks are using this information to sanction loans. This 5-second loan and 10-second loan and all, this is coming out of this. So there are this, like privacy, of course there is no privacy at all. Like people know everything about you.
The security details also submitted, assets and all.
Yes, yes sir. Yeah, sir, the Form C has 3 parts. The information which is required is given in Form C under the regulations. It has part A, B, C. A is the submitter's information. Suppose the bank gives it details about the bank, and part B is first is about the borrower, all details about borrower, contact number and all, and then the details of the loan. So details of creditor, details of the borrower, debtor and the debt, and then security, interest. So it as per the basic details and is as per CERSAI registration number. So we can at any point of time connect to CERSAI and get the information. Then part C is the default information. That is how it happens. You don't have to give me all the documents, but security details, yes, definitely. But we are trying to connect with CERSAI. With CERSAI also there are a lot of problems, because because of the time limit given to all banks, many of the banks have entered wrong numbers, survey numbers may be wrong, and CERSAI, it's very difficult to search name or anything. You have to give the survey number only, then only you will find the information. So all those, there are information this thing, but we are trying to do, we are working with the MCA and ministry, the DFS and all, to get an API with MCA 21. So we can get lot of information from there. Your documents can come from there. Security, like even the banks want, when they submit information, like satisfaction of charge can be, once they get closed, the CHG form can come to me, automatically it gets filled in and go to the MCA. That's what the expectation from the banks. And similarly, because now the borrowers delay filing of charge, so the banks are saying, why don't you do that? Like when every information comes to you, we will put the CHG also, because anyhow he authenticates the information, but this all requires some amendments in the acts and laws. So, but these are all ideas coming in, and I am 100% sure in a year or two we will be implementing all these things. We are going a little fast on that, yeah. We host emails of IPs. Yeah, like what they are doing. Yeah, we are planning, yes. Yeah. So that everything can come there. No? Yeah. Sir, it may take another 5-6 months to start, because we are in the process. We are like, a prototype is being prepared and taken to the board. Our board has to approve, the technology committee has to approve. So it may take around 5 to 6 months, but it may come even before that. But at the outset, outer this thing, it may be 6 months. That's what.
Sir, in the case of all loans, existing loans, authorized banks give a condition stating that in case the borrower contacts me, that it should be registered with Sybil in case of any
Yeah,
default like that.
correct.
Can you influence that at least all future loans, there should be a condition that it should be registered with an IU also?
Yeah, that's now IBA is coming out with the suggestion to all the banks. We have worked with IBA. We have told IBA, they are preparing a consent class also to be incorporated. As you said, Sybil, when it came, before the act came, RBI came out with a circular saying that you insert this in all your agreements. Many of the old agreements still have that clause saying that the bank retains the right to submit information to credit information company. But when the act came, RBI withdrew the circular because it is a statutory requirement. So similarly, here also it is a statute. Code is a statute, and you don't have to wait for any consent, if you see. Yeah, see, it's not, that is what I am saying. See, for example, RBI suddenly said Aadhaar, we said we have not issued any information. So somebody wrote an RTA saying that, how can you say that? So RBI came back and said, no, we have not stated that. Why should we issue any information? Because it is a requirement under the statute. So there is no need for RBI to specially say that you connect. So similarly, this is also statute, and a penalty clause also has been added, 235A, to give the teeth to the financial creditor shall submit. So the shall is a must, it is not a may, because of the penalty here. So it not required. We have got opinion also. Recently some banks have also got information from this Sardul Sraf and Cyril Sraf saying that borrower's consent is not required. Because it is a requirement under this, you have to go with the intent of the law. RBI has stated in a circular saying that you submit, then it need not have to be there. But to be on the side of caution, we have already told IBA to draft the clause and circulate to all the banks.
That will be for all future loans.
Yeah, future loans. Future loans. So existing loans we have given lot of ideas, but it has to, they can announce in their website, they can send a notice, they can send emails. When they send emails for buying credit cards and selling insurance and all, they can send another like mail saying that you have to, we are doing this.
But why only 3 banks have come? What happened to the other banks?
Sir, already see, 11 banks have agreed, signed already. One thing in all the banks, they were all waiting for, in spite of all this clause and all, code and all, they were waiting for RBI to make the move. Once RBI announced, there was flood of inquiries to us. Every organization, from even a cooperative bank from Jalner in Maharashtra started calling us saying that we have to comply with this. So what should we do? From Assam, everywhere people started calling once RBI circular came. Similarly, the National Housing Bank issued a circular, every housing finance company is calling. Banks are taking time because, sir, one is they have to put an internal control, they note to the board. 2 things are required. As you were asking, they also raised the question, should it require a consent clause? Second is the fee. They will have to debit the customer, like whether this should they get consent of the customer to debit the fee also. So we said you are debiting legal fee regularly, so this is also like a legal, because of our legal evidence you are paying, and its amount only 500 rupees per annum, so it should not be in a position. Even that we have, IBA is coming out with the clarification. So banks are taking time. Another one is, the information required to us, because it has to come in a authenticated, they have to put their digital signature. So they identify who will be the person who can submit, who can put their digital signature. So it requires, and only one digital signature can come. So they have to make a lot of maker-checker arrangements within them. And they will all, suppose let information comes from IT or MIS, it will go to different departments. They will all put their digital signature, and this guy will count the number of signatures and put the final signature and send to us. It's like earlier days, they will count the initials in the note. Similarly, they will see there has to be 10 digital signatures from 10 departments. It's there. The 11th, the super user will submit. So it's taking time. Yeah. 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 Sir, one is correct. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. And there are cases where, yeah, thank you. There are cases where people have, some banks have been now in the queue, and the 5th position with the government. So what we are doing, all users come to the IU. All financial creditors will come to the IU. Operational creditors may not come. That is one. We are telling this only to all the operational creditors also. You come to that, you will come to know the trap. As soon as, regulation very clearly says, as soon as a default is filed with the IU will expeditiously arrange to get that information verified and authenticated and broadcast it to the users. So we will broadcast it to the IUs. Even if there are more IUs, through the interoperability, we will send the information saying that so and so has filed a default against so and so company. So you will come to know immediately, all the creditors. No, what's saying? So they will know this default has happened, so they can send the claim. We will also say, like, an IRP, you come and register with me. That information we can send saying that this company default which we announce, broadcast, he is the IRP and this is the email. So they can send the claims through my system only to you. Instead of, like, you give a notice, which is under the regular, you have to, as per the rules, you have to give the notice and all. But here he sends all the information, as he was asking, if I give you an email ID within my system, it comes in that email ID and I store that information with me. So it is readily available to you.
So for archiving, you will be charging the.
Yeah. Archiving, see, it will not be, see, as a company, as a public sector, with an intention of helping the banking system, we are not going to charge very high. See, now we are in the initial stage, so we are saying around 12 rupees or 15 rupees, whatever it is. Over a period, if we come to know, it's not going to cost us much, we will definitely, like review and reduce.
So what about the workers and all that, suppose they have default?
Yeah.
Should they also report to you?
So there are 2 cases where we have employees have filed. Yeah. And 3, 4 cases in the hotel case in Chennai only. Yeah. So that gentleman called us. 2 people called us, but then they felt no. We will send the notice straight away. They said.
It was more than a crore.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
So
how that is authenticated?
who? Sir, once a default happens, nobody is going to authenticate. That is true. That is where they said behavioral we will capture. That is where we telling the banks, which will be for the last 12 months if he has authenticated. In the 12 months, he has authenticated for 10 months. Only when a problem happens, he stops authenticating. That itself can be an early warning signal to the bank, saying that why is he not doing that? Because he has done for 10 months. So the bank should wake up, the relationship manager should wake up and take it up with the customers. If he doesn't do that, then it becomes bad. But at least you can prove that in the last 10 months he has done this. So now he is not doing it. So that is, the fault is with the borrower. That is what. Claim. Yes. Correct. 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 Sir, he will be filing to you only using our platform. That's all. The claims will come to you only. Yeah. Yeah. Correct. Correct. No, sir. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. When he sends a claim, it will come. It is like filing with you only. He is using me only as a messenger. I'm sending it to you. So it is filing. It will come to your email ID. When he files with an IU, I will broadcast your name and it is available, your email ID. He sends it to you. It's coming to your email ID in my folder, you can say. So you can access all the claims available there. So it is filing with you only using our platform. In your interest, yeah. It is not because
Report or aggregated report, or just we have to access the mail then?
No, it has to. We can do that. No, correct. That question has come. We are doing that, collating the claims. Correct. Without any obligation or on our side, we can collate. We will do that because otherwise, what is just like a postman putting all the covers? No, we will collate it and give it to you. That's what. Like we will have to have an arrangement with you so that we can open that and get the information and collate it. Otherwise, there is no, like we are just sending an email. That is. See, IPs, the regulation says IPs may submit information. It is not a shall. So you may submit, but and whatever information you submit is only you can access, nobody except adjudicating authority, IBBA, and only you can access. So it's in your interest, like to reduce your worry. Like you have enough worries.
Can we envisage a situation wherein the whole CRP process is made through the IU? I made the application, the appointment of IRP is made through the IU, and all the claims come through the IU, and IU also collates those information, assess the RP on that.
Sir, it can happen only when the NCLT and courts are ready with their systems. If they can, because as of now you have to file tons of papers with them, so unless they all go for digital.
Courts need not.
NCLT.
If IU is able to assess the RP completely,
Hmm.
then the whole situation can happen in your platform.
But that is collecting, not filing with the NCLT.
See, I make my form 126
Correct. Yeah.
application to adjudicating authority. I can't.
Correct. Yeah.
So form 126
Yeah.
will be done.
Yeah.
Thing. Where once the IRP is appointed
Right.
through the IU platform, the
Yeah, that's what.
And the RP will have assistance from you in collating all
Correct.
the information, consolidating
Correct.
it,
Yeah.
and giving that dump to the RP.
Yeah.
How we are getting tons of paper.
Yeah.
How we'll get only a few emails.
Correct.
Subsequently, he can do the asset valuation, etc., through the information which is
Yes.
So there can be a situation where IU can be used completely for an RP situation.
Yeah, yeah. That is what our, like, going forward, our intention is. It may not happen overnight, but to begin with, we are doing, accepting your information, e-action platform, one by one. That's what I said, like, say, I'm telling everybody, like, Jindagi ke saath bhi and Jindagi ke baad bhi, starting from when you good, like, and up to the liquidation to last, right, we are there, like, everything, so that, even after you have finished, you don't know, like, any pecuniary, this thing can happen even after 2 years, somebody can come and file a case saying that something went wrong there. Had it not happened, I would have got more money, realized more money. So even after 2 years, 3 years, if something can happen within that limitation act, so you will be. So all these things, when it happens on my platform and authenticated information available, then it is, like, in your interest, your interest is protected. So that's back of your mind, like, it removes, it goes, the worry is gone. That's the idea. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. 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 Absolutely. Yes. 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 Yeah, yeah. Portability. Yeah, yeah. Portability is provided in the regulation, but the portability, the technical standards are yet to be announced. By IBBA has to come out with portability standards. What should be, like, Yeah, yeah. Sir, as of now, but we are prepared for that, in the sense, we are expecting at least another 2 companies to come, if not today. They are all waiting how it moves. See, most important, they are all waiting to see how the authentication works. How difficult it is to get the authentication, what efforts the IU has to put in getting the authentication. So I am very sure in the, like, towards the end of this year, another 1 or 2 will join.
Even the act says data can file in one.
Yes, 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 yeah.
Where the act is.
Sir, regulation says you can register with me, submit all information to the other user. Only register, because you don't have to register again there. So once you have registered with one IU, you don't have need another registration. So using me only for registration, you can submit all information there. Part of the, see, if I were a banker, I will not use only one, because why should I keep all information? I can give you corporate to NASL, retail to some other IU. Part of the retail, because retail, there are 16 crore accounts in this country. Even if you leave 6 crore of agriculture accounts, around 10 crore accounts are there. NASL alone cannot handle all these things. So it has to go. And there are challenges in authentication in retail loans. Guys will be somewhere there. Everybody has a 3G, 4G mobile, but they may not have email connection. Sometimes you will not get the call drop and all, like, you will not get. So we are working out in Northeast, there is no Aadhaar. Only 7.5% of the population has Aadhaar. So how do we get authentication? So we have to use, like, in the post offices, we are planning to use the post offices and business correspondents of this financial inclusion guys. They go around with the handheld machine where it can be authenticated. So we are also coming out with ideas to help the creditors to get the authentication. Whatever we could do, we will do. That's what our plan is. Promoters are like 13 banks, including State Bank of India, Canara Bank, Punjab National Bank. You name any big bank. Here only Indian Bank is there from here. We have Karnataka Bank and Union Bank of India, Bank of Baroda, Punjab National Bank, all banks. Major banks are there. Some more wanted to come, but because of something, RBI did not give permission and all, like Bank of India could not join us. Dena Bank is our one of the partner, and we have CDSL, NABARD, SIDBI and all with 2% and all. But we wanted participation by all the public sector this thing, so we have given maximum to the public sector. In the private sector, we have Axis, ICICI and HDFC and Karnataka Bank.
You were talking about valuation dispute. What would be your role in it if there is a dispute in the valuation
it will be very difficult. We cannot have any role in that. No, correct. No, I was just mentioning, see, what can happen is, if it happens in a transparent way, if you can, you don't get, automatically you have registered and he does the valuation, puts his digital signature, comes here and all those. See, in a paper you can always change, you can say people have here changed and all. Everything he does, he puts it in the valuation in an electronic form, send it. He may send a paper, but he puts with this digital signature, sent it to me. Yes, yes. Authenticated information, there is only one truth. That is the idea. Our idea is one truth and no asymmetry of information. So no dispute arises out of, my information is different from your information. That is what we will be doing. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. No, no, no. If he files against the financial creditor, it goes. Yeah. Correct, correct. Yeah. It will go. It will go. Any default which comes to me, I am supposed to broadcast to all the users. So when an operational creditor files default also, immediately my duty is to broadcast very religiously. I will have to broadcast to everybody. Yeah, but they reduced. Now RBI has in CRILC, they have every Friday, every bank has to file RBI and NABARD. IP? No, 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 no. Only to the creditors who are in that. Condition, there is no condition, you have to come to the portal and show your registration numbers, certificate, and simple. There's no fee for registration. No, no, no. You register first, and only when you get, registration, there is no restriction, but you have to further go inside that. You will have to have a case. You will have to access, let's say, one company which has defaulted. If you want information, then you have to give me the appointment letter from the adjudicating authority. That has to come. Yeah, NCLT order. Yes. Yeah, 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 yeah. But that's a very, very what you call dicey situation, because what happens, you come and file default, and he doesn't authenticate. We broadcast. He can sue me saying that I have not authenticated. This guy has deliberately, with malified intention, he has filed. So we are working with our lawyers to say how we can do that. So we will wait. We will give 7 days in the process, which we are supposed to, and we'll send reminders. Maybe we will send another reminder at the end of the 7th day. Then we can safely say we have given enough notice to you. Now we are broadcasting. You have not disputed, so we are broadcast. So that's a very, very dicey situation. That has happened in many cases. Users, who you come and register with me, creditor. Yeah, yeah, only them, only them. No, 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 no. No, that's why I said it will go to the creditors who are users of IU. So even only you will get information only if you are registered with any IU system. If financial creditor, State Bank of India is registered with me. Okay, somebody against SR Steel, or it happened in Uttam Galwa, that operational creditor filed. Had there been an IU, immediately that issue would have gone to whichever bank which has registered with me, whichever NBFC which has been registered with me, they will all get this information. Yeah. Correct. Correct. Yeah. 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 No, no, no. He says if Indian Bank is not at all connected to this loan, should he know? Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. That is one idea. That is one. Yeah. See, I know, but the idea is every creditor, the idea is even the guy who's Like maybe he might have given a small loan, something, I don't know whether he has given a loan. So I have to broadcast, because anyhow, see, this has happened, default has happened, it is going to the NCLT, and it is going to be public. As of day, it is not public. Once it goes to the NCLT, anyhow it is going to be the public. But the maximum, the intent of the code is to help the financial creditors. So I don't know, even if Indian Bank is registered with me, and in this, in his balance sheet or anything, he would not have mentioned Indian Bank, let's say. And but Indian Bank would have given a loan. By mistake, it has not been reported. So they should also know, and they should check their records whether to find out whether this, whether any have. Indian Bank may not have, Indian Bank subsidiary may have. Like ICC Bank, any of the subsidiary may have. They can alert their subsidiary. The idea is, to protect.
Only the mainline accounts, or also, what is circulating now, the LOUs and all?
LOU, we are telling all the bankers, you do with us, so frauds can be rejected. Excellent. As soon as the fraud happened, we were making a presentation to some 50 people in IDBI Bank. We said the same thing. This fraud could have been prevented if the foreign bank has submitted the LOU to the IU, and it goes, because when it comes to IU, it will go to a different person for authentication. No, foreign bank means our branches. Our branches which we gave money, they could have sent it to us, and when we send for authentication, it will go to a different person, not to the Shetty who has issued the LOU. Yeah. Yeah. That is not met with any success, sir. In fact, many of the even bankers wanted, NBSs wanted, what exactly the balance sheet he files with IT, they want to know, even the financial creditors. Correct. Yeah. Yeah. Eh, So anyhow, you don't have, because they are fifth in the queue, sir. Anyhow, you don't, only when he gets something, here after your expenditure and interim finance and all, banks itself, they are getting 6% and 7%. Correct. No, your question is correct, sir. Yeah. Correct. Yeah. Yeah. Correct. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Sir, absolutely. Sir, the code is evolving, and day by day, things are improving definitely, because they have found out the section 25, 29A, like amendments happened, and now they have appointed an insolvency law committee to look into more how to make it more effective. There are, and lot of some recommendations have gone from various stakeholders. Even we have sent a lot of recommendations with after the discussion with various banks. The same may be sent by the banks also. IBA has presented, FICCI has presented, all those stakeholders have presented to IBBA. So there will be improvements, changes are happening, but definitely, so far, if you lawyers, he will say, over a period what we have seen is that the judgments which have come, even if somebody has made a mistake, Supreme Court has corrected it. NCLT has made a mistake, NCLAT has corrected it. So far, except maybe that 142, even now it has become, Supreme Court used 142 to say you can settle outside. That also, if now it has become almost, say, okay, its ultimate idea is to recover the money. If you can recover, you recover. So it is all coming slowly. There are challenges definitely. Even there are bigger challenges with IU also. No, sir, because they are not in the IBC. They are exempt, financial institutions, government departments and all are not covered, and so they are not registered. Yeah, liquidation. Yes, sir, even. Yes, alternate investment funds, everything. Everybody, PFRDA, we are going, and we are registering debenture trustees to authenticate. We are going to custodials to authenticate, so that we need not have to go to the individual this thing. So debenture trustees we have met. We have returned to SEBI, and SEBI has permitted debenture trustees to share information with us. We have written now for AMFI, we have made a presentation. We have met first all the associations, including FICCI, everybody we met and made presentations about IU. And we have AMFI, in this Monday we have a presentation to Mr. Nilesha, that valuation committee which has to finalize ultimately what should be the fee and how to submit and all those stuff. And insurance, we have councils, we have met and made presentations. So even general insurance company, whatever investment, debentures, bonds, alternate investment funds. That is why this IU is going to be of good use, because everything comes under. Every loan of that guy has taken from anybody in any form will come to the IU. That's the idea. Yeah, microfinance, we are waiting for the process because that's too big a headache, like to cover the numbers. We have to cover. See, we can't say like, we can't wish away and all, and definitely. And there that, banks are also taking it like, individual defaults are not very heavy if you see that way. So, but we will have to reach. See that, in fact, we have been included in the like what you call group which is formed for the credit registry, RBI. There are 5 groups they have formed, banks, IT, NBFCs, and NABARD for the cooperative banks. So we have been taken into that as a member. So we are meeting. The challenge, as you were saying, is cooperative banks. There are around 13,500 something cooperative banks. Only 135 has started submitting information to credit information companies, even though like 6 years back RBI said all cooperative banks have to give. So he is saying, we were in the meeting, the primary agriculture cooperative society, he says, sir, computer itself is Adam time, it's not latest and doesn't like get electricity continuously, there is no connectivity, how will I give information? So he says, I am willing to. You provide me a way how I can give you information. So it is going to be a big challenge to get information from the cooperative banks and all. Because even credit registry now, apart from me, credit registry is going to take from all those things, even including electricity bill, as you were asking, electricity bill, telephone bill, everything they are going to take. Right. So it is a challenge, definitely. All will come. That all has to come. Anyhow, with the notice, you have to give all these things. Invoice and proof of delivery, everything has to come. No. No. See, now we are trying to work with GSTN. That's one platform where you can get all this information, payment, including payment, which will help the banks also to monitor their receivable funding in like drawing power. But that will take time, because first of all they will have to settle down and then they will have to share information with us. We are just in a beginning stage. Correct. We are telling now the banks, that also one part of that, you ask all your borrowers to submit their sale invoices with us. Okay, we will send it for authentication. Whether it gets authenticated or not, in the beginning they may have a tie-up to the seller and buyer, you authenticate. But over a period, it will come down. So you can have a control on the receivables. So drawing power which you give. Because when something default happens, the first thing to vanish is the receivables. You don't know where it gone. See, even in the case of SR Steel, almost out of 52,000 crore claim, I think 30,000 or something from their own group companies. So all those things can be ruled out. But see, these are all numbers. We need more IUs to bring this, because it is an enormous job, but it can discipline. Already this IBC itself has disciplined lot of borrowers, and with IU coming in, when they know that information is available, it will discipline. Definitely it will discipline them. That is what is here.
Last question. You think that your system backbone is sufficient to
Yeah.
withstand the load?
In fact, investing, we have for some terabytes, I'm not so familiar with that, so many terabyte storage for these things we have, and for better this thing, like much more than what we require we have storage. Yeah, correct. Now, still I'll tell you, when forget about storage, first the system itself, that is why we are taking it slowly. We are taking some 50,000 numbers, because in all the lakhs come, my system can crash, anything. See, even TCS is developing, but still we have faced. In ICICI Bank, when I was there, the ATM first day, they changed the switch, totally crashed. The gentleman he resigned, the head of IT of ICICI Bank resigned. It created such a mess, and for a technologically advanced bank like ICICI Bank, it happened. It can happen, that is why we are taking it slowly. Like, we are not taking all the big banks, we are starting from small banks. First, they come on the front end and enter the system. Like Doha Bank has signed an agreement with us. They have around 35 or 40 accounts, let's say. Small bank. Similarly, we are checking with, next is GCB, like some few thousand accounts. Like we are going like that. But State Bank also we are working. From them also we are taking in thousands and all. Once that stabilize, we will take the full amount, because we want to be of use in every good way. We don't want to add any further headache to any of the stakeholders. So we are going very, very clearly, slowly, and with caution, lot of caution. Yeah. No, anyone can. See, we have received one particular case. He has filed around 350 invoices. Like in a demand notice, he has filed 350 invoices we have taken. That's value, no. There's no value, no. See, we are only bothered about the numbers and how it moves, where total. We can file any number of documents. We are prepared for that. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Atan. Thanks, Atan.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your detailed deliberation. May I request Mr. Ramani, sir, to come over and hand over a memento as a token of appreciation from our side. Let's have a break for 15 minutes. Let us reassemble at 5:45.
We are starting off the second session with an analysis of the recent Supreme Court cases. We have with us Advocate Dhanraj. He's a very eminent advocate who is the founder and proprietor of Law Offices of Dhanraj. He completed law in Coimbatore Law College, Government Law College, and within 2 years he has been appointed as a panel advocate of the official liquidator attached to Madras High Court, and he has assisted a number of senior advocates. He practices corporate law and specializes in amalgamations and mergers and handles disputes between shareholders in oppression and mismanagement. He practices insolvency and bankruptcy law, and even though the code was notified only in 2016, his experience in representing the official liquidator has given him a rich experience in conducting the liquidation proceedings. Then banking and debt recovery laws, his firm regularly has accountable bank recovery litigations before the DRT and DRAT, and the nature of cases can be ascertained with respective websites. He also has experience in real estate laws, and he has completed a lot of commercial retail lease transactions. And apart from that, he even has a chamber practice where they do a lot of drafting of commercial agreements and contracts with JV and technical know-how, NDA and non-compete agreements. And he is on the panel of the official liquidator High Court Chennai, Karnataka State Industrial Development Corporation, Karnataka Industrial Development Board, AP Industrial and Infrastructure Corporation, and Kerala State Electronics Development Board. And he also conducts a series of lectures with the ICSI, and now he's also doing with the ICAI. And he has been he has a special appointment as an expert in company law by the Ministry of Corporate Affairs to assist the Additional Solicitor General in prosecuting the petitions filed under sections 397 and 398 of the erstwhile Companies Act by Union of India, representing the Ministry of Corporate Affairs against the financial technologies. So present to you Advocate Dhanraj for an analysis of the Supreme Court cases.
Good evening to all. Come I here in persona to share this beautiful evening with the august gathering. Before I commence, I thank the SIRC, ICAI for giving me this golden opportunity to stand before you and share some of the dictums, obiter dicta of the Supreme Court in the recent cases. When you look at Supreme Court citations for IBC, you will hardly find a handful of cases because this law came into force only in December 2016. Now, I am told in the previous session that there was already another Supreme Court case which was discussed. Therefore, I have taken about 3 or 4 cases, and I will walk you through the importance the points that were debated and argued before the Supreme Court and the findings of Supreme Court. In addition to that, please ask me questions on practical points of liquidators or as RPs in addition to the discussion of the Supreme Court cases, so that I'll be able to give you some kind of an insight, because my experience with the official liquidator for 18 years as the standing counsel for the official liquidator under the erstwhile Companies Act 1956 has given me more than 300, 400 original side appeals before the division bench of the Madras High Court on matters concerning possession, realization, distribution, sale. So let's begin with the analysis of the recent Supreme Court cases. Okay, the first case, what you look there is Innovative Industries Limited versus ICICI Bank Limited. Now the issue here, as you see the first note, can an erstwhile directors approach the court after the appointment of resolution professional as a person agreed by the impugned order, as the management right of the company has been taken away and as the otherwise affected as shareholders of the company? Without looking into this for a moment, if you see the erstwhile Companies Act, once a winding up order is passed, the directors and the officers deemed vacated the office. Now, Supreme Court has said, in this particular case they have said that according to us, once an insolvency professional is appointed to manage the company, the erstwhile directors who are no longer in management obviously cannot maintain an appeal on behalf of the company. Fine. I don't find any answer whether a shareholder can file a petition, an appeal. Can he file a scheme? Now, we came to know after the recent amendment of 2010A that the promoters are barred from filing. Is the exclusion extended even to a shareholder who is not a director on the board? These are questions which are unanswered. So, the evolution of law, like the previous speaker had told us, we are yet to come to a definite conclusion in those areas where the law is yet to be settled. For example, whether a shareholder who is not a promoter can maintain an appeal, or can he file a resolution plan before the NCLT. Now please see what has been discussed. The Supreme Court says, as soon as application is allowed under section 17, the erstwhile management of the corporate debtor is vested in an interim resolution professional who is a trained registered under chapter 4 of the code. The interim resolution professional is now to manage the operations of the corporate debtor as a going concern under the directions of the committee of creditors appointed under section 21 of the act. If you had run through the judgment, or if you had the opportunity to read the judgment, most of it talks about a conflict of law, which I didn't put it here because that was not the real crux of the issue considered by the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court in this judgment, they were considering a conflict law between a debt recovery law of a state and IBC, and then most of the pages were only contributed to that, and then finally they say IBC will prevail over the debt relief act. Now the general theory is, when there is a tug of war between a general law and special law, the special law will prevail. When there is a tug of war between a special law and special law, the later one will prevail. Now this is all established principles in various judgments, so I didn't bother to touch upon it. But while giving this finding, one part of it, the next part, you please see what they have talked about. Section 7.5, default, non-payment of debt once it becomes due and payable, which includes non-payment of even part thereof or an instrument amount. Section 3 subclause 12, debt, liability of obligation respect of claim. Section 3.11, claim right to payment even if it is disputed. Section 3.6. When I say debt, before the IBC or before RDD-BFI Act, you will find the definition of debt only in the judgment of the Supreme Court, Union of India versus His Highness Maharaja Madhavrao Scindia. That is the only judgment where Supreme Court attempted to define debt in 4 lines. After that, RDD-BFI Act 1993, then Sarfasi Act 2002. They were the acts which clearly, definitely gave a meaning of what is a debt, what is a financial debt, what is a secured debt. Now here, the debt is meaning, if you see this act, we don't have difficulties in ascertaining what is a debt and what is a dispute. The dispute as per IBC code is a one where there is either a civil suit or an arbitration pending proceeding prior to the invocation of insolvency code. Now when a default occurs, what is the test of law in terms of financial credit? See, when default occurs to any financial creditor of the corporate debtor, it need not be a debt owed to the applicant financial creditor. Application to be made in prescribed form in code and rules. Adjudicating authority to ascertain the existence of default from the records of the information utility or on the basis of evidence furnished by the financial creditor within 14 days of the receipt of the application. Debt, whether disputed or undisputed, is due, that is payable unless interdicted by some law or has yet to be due in the sense that is payable at some future date. If default occurred, application must be admitted unless CD satisfies the debt is not due. These are the rigors of section 7.5. Now let's move on to the rigors of section 9.5. These are all taken out from the judgment which I am just analyzing. Now, contrast to financial credit. In terms of a financial credit, CIRP triggers on occurrence of default, whereas in terms of operational credit, issuance of demand notice is condition precedent in accordance with the provisions of rules of IBC 2016. Now today, I am encountered with a new problem. In one of the cases, the company petition under 433 was transferred from the Madras High Court to the NCLT. There were 2 winding up petitions pending. I proceed in court 1 in NCLT saying that, look, there was a statutory demand notice issued. There was no reply from the creditor, from the debtor. Therefore, he is commercially insolvent. Please have him wound up. Notice was issued. He comes and enters appearance before the Madras High Court. Matter gets transferred to NCLT in court hall number 1. Parallelly, another petitioning creditor's petition comes up before court number 2 in NCLT. While my petition was pending consideration, I was able to get a sum of rupees 7 lakhs towards a debt of about 75 lakhs. But in the other petition, the NCLT court hall number 2, they had gone and appointed an IRP. IRP had given notice, he went to possess, the company takes it on appeal. In appeal, the NCLT says, transferred proceeding from Madras High Court, even there, you have not given a notice in forms as prescribed by the IBC, and therefore they said we are releasing the company from the rigor of this law. Now what do I do? Because NCLT at the time of transfer of proceedings, they said you have to file the affidavit and banker's certificate, that alone is mandatory. This new interpretation comes about 2 months. Now, I found a solution. I have 2 options. One, I withdraw the petition pending before the NCLT court hall number 1 with liberty to file a fresh petition, or I reopen the previous petition which was closed in view of the court order number 2, that is appointing the IRP, and then differentiate this case law saying that, hey look, in that case he has disputed the debt, in my case he has not disputed anything, he has not paid any money there, he has admitted his liability and he has made part payment, so now he cannot wriggle out. This is also the evolution of law, as because this has never been precedented either by either by the Supreme Court previously. Maybe if the petitioning creditor or the operational creditor whose appeal was dismissed by the NCLT goes to Supreme Court, then we may have a finding on these kind of dicey situations. Now, please see the rigors of section 9(5). Contrast of financial credit. In terms of financial, I've read that. Next one. CD must bring to the notice of the operational creditor the existence of a dispute or the record of the pendency of a suit or arbitration proceedings which is pre-existing, that is before such notice or invoice was received by the corporate debtor. The moment there is existence of such a dispute, the operational creditor gets out of the clutches of the court. Disputes under section 5 clause 6 is observed to be an inclusive definition. This is the previous case where it was discussed in the last session, I was told. Now, what is a bona fide dispute? Dispute is defined, one can interpret, dispute means there should be a proceeding before the civil court or before an arbitration tribunal. Let us keep this apart, because I am confident that tomorrow, in addition to that, there will be law evolving on bona fide dispute. Now, to understand what is a bona fide dispute, one has to look at Madhusudan Govardhan Das's judgment of the Supreme Court, where they say, that is the test, that is the judgment of the case law till date to find out what is a bona fide dispute in winding up. There they say, if the company is able to give a reasonable defense to the winding up proceedings, a genuine defense which is likely to succeed in the final hearing, then that is a bona fide dispute. All others are moonshine and mala fide dispute. Now let us move on to the next case, Surendra Trading Company versus Jugilal Kamalpat Jute Mills Company Limited and others. This talks about the 14 days mandatory period and 7 days to be given for rectification of defects. Now NCLT and NCLT took a view. I will not take you waste time on reading those lines, but I'll tell you the sum and substance. The NCLT and NCLT, they took a view that it is mandatory, you have to follow, and the Supreme Court said that no purpose is going to be served for treating 7 days as mandatory, a balanced approach is needed. And then they say, yes, they have also added a caveat that if 7 days notice is given, you don't comply with the rectification of defects in the application, okay, you are allowed to file an application to condone the delay in any number of days that occur after the 7 days. But they've also said a caveat that this should be not used to abuse the process of court. Like for example, I'll give you a classical example of an abuse of process of court. I file a IBC petition as an operational creditor against a corporate debtor. The money payable to me is about 3 lakhs. I serve the notice to him. He pays me 50,000, and then he promises to pay me another 50,000 rupees in 1 month. I go and file a petition before the NCLT. I intentionally omit to sign the petition as a counsel or as a party on 1 page. The NCLT will say, on scrutiny of the application, look, you are supposed to comply with this, comply within 7 days. I take these papers and go to him, look, you have got 7 days time. Pay me all the money or I'm going to press the matter. He gives me another 50,000. So out of 3 lakhs, I've got 1 lakh. Now, I genuinely know that this guy can't pay me 2 lakhs within the next 1 month. So I keep my petition lying there without doing anything, without complying with it. I just keep it lying there. Now that is abuse of process. If he pays me 2 lakhs 50,000 and I am forced to only go to the petition only for the balance 50,000 rupees, because as per the books 2.5 lakhs is payable on the date of petition. I issue notice, he pays me 50,000, in the petition 3 lakhs becomes 2.5 lakhs. So I am above 1 lakh to maintain my petition. I can wait for 3 months without doing anything and thereafter go and file an application with condone delay saying that I've entrusted the brief to my manager, he met with an accident and he had to go undergo so many treatments. There were some reasons and get the delay condoned and then get the obtained. This is one classic example of abuse of process of law. Except these things, the Supreme Court said, yes, you can condone the delay. Now this is another judgment. Macquarie Bank Limited versus Shilpi Cable Technologies Limited, reported in 2017 SEC. Whether banker's certificate under section 9(3)(c) is mandatory in terms of operational credit, whether demand notice or unpaid operational debt can be issued by a lawyer on behalf of the operational creditor. Now please see what is the view of the NCLT and NCLT. They say non-compliance of provision of section 9(3)(c) is liable to be dismissed. NCLT further went on to hold that notice issued by a lawyer cannot be treated as a demand notice under section 8. Now what is the view of the Supreme Court? Supreme Court says, copy of the invoice demanding payment or demand notice is mandatory as conjoint reading with 9(1) and 5 and 6 of AA rules, read with form 3 and 5, insist upon attachment. And they say that section 9(3)(c), a copy of the certificate from the financial institution maintaining the accounts or confirming that there is no payment of an unpaid operational debt by CD. The expression confirming clears that it's only a piece of evidence, albeit a very important piece of evidence, which only confirms the non-payment. So I'll just tell you the sum and substance. They say it is only directory. It is not mandatory, it is directory. Now, why did they come to this conclusion? If there is a foreigner who is operating out of the boundaries of India, and his bank says, I will not give you a certificate, I am not bothered about the Indian laws. So what does he do? Does it mean that IBC doesn't provide the window for a foreigner? These are all the practical things which Supreme Court stepped in and then they tried to sort it out.
But this exception is there only if there is an impossibility of performance. It is not.
It is not a cakewalk. You have to walk the extra mile to convince the NCLT to say, these are the genuine reasons I am not able to secure. If you are not able to secure a certificate, you can place the authenticated statements of the bank. Yeah, that's correct, sir. So, at the end of the day, if you look at it, the regulations will not rule over the law. Regulations remain. They are only handmaids to the law. I'm just giving you the example why Supreme Court did not highlight so much on the regulations. That's the reason. Now, issues relating to demand notice. This is again because of the previous step I told you, whether an advocate can issue a demand notice or not. They said, initially they said no, it has to be only the company, but Supreme Court negated that and said yes, authorized person can give a demand notice. Now, this is another case where settlement of dispute before admission, after admission. Now, as the previous speaker told you that see, it's still evolving, and Supreme Court has suggested that it is better that if you can realize the money, you realize it. There's not going to be anything wrong if you're going to get the money and then withdraw the litigation. This is what the recommendation for amendment by the Supreme Court. Please see the second para. With the view to obviate unnecessary appeals in matters in case settlement, the Honorable Court assigned the Ministry of Law and Justice to make amendments to relevant rules so as to include such inherent powers. And what are they doing? I think they are discussing on something to bring about changes to this one. Now, these three things are very important. These are not the analysis of Supreme Court judgment. We are yet to evolve the concept of corporate rescue. What is corporate rescue? What is this theory of corporate rescue? Before the RP decides on sending the company into liquidation, these are all borrowed theories from abroad, because basically our government is trying a foreign law within our territory neither the government nor any of our practitioners know the nuances and where it will go and end. But we want to do it for the betterment. Now, corporate rescue, I'll give you an example. If there is a plantation company and there is a tire manufacturing company and the plantation company is getting debt ridden, the tire manufacturing company can come in and say, hey, look, I will convene a meeting of all the creditors of the plantation company. Allow me to take over the unit. I will try to fund it because that is giving me raw materials. This is one. Two, a competitor may come in and he can say, I am giving you a resolution plan. Why don't you consider my resolution plan? Why do you want to kill the company into liquidation and send the workers to street? These are all the theorems and theories, and they are only put to use mostly in the US, UK, and to some extent in the Australia. Now, what is a twilight zone? Twilight zone, every RP and IRP is supposed to know the twilight zone to effectively function as an IRP and RP. Every director, the board of a company, is supposed to run the company for profits, or at least not to make loss, for the betterment of the shareholders and the creditors. That is the idea of running a company, in addition to making profit. So the interest of the shareholders, interest of the creditors have to be kept on par and run the company. Now, certain times the business is not commercially viable, therefore the business is put to loss. Now, the substituted term, what the previous speaker was saying, is the behavioral pattern. I'll borrow it for this twilight zone. An IRP and RP has to walk backwards, imagine himself as a director, what caused the loss and what is the time this decision was taken, whether to report to the creditors the company is loss making, call everybody and say, I have to give you 100 rupees, you accept 80 rupees, cut loss and come out. Now, why did he fail to make that decision? If you are able to imagine and walk back and find out why this happened, then you will be able to take the entire liquidation or by the resolution plan in an effective and more faster manner. Now, why is this? Under the Erstwhile Companies Act, as I told you, I'm sure all of you know there was a section 542 for misfeasance, malfeasance and criminal breach of trust. As an IRP and RP, you need to understand whether there was siphoning of funds, there was diversion of funds, there was falsification of accounts, all these things. Out of 10 companies you receive, you can healthily say 5 of it loss is caused only because of extravagant lifestyle or diversion of funds to other units. The other 5 can be because of labor problem or non-availability and so many other reasons. Until you ascertain that, how will you justify in going forward? As the official liquidator, whenever I used to appear before him, have a discussion with him, an IRP, RP and a liquidator under IBC is different from the official liquidator under the 1956 Act. There he is appointed by the central government, he gets his salary and he is always under the superintendence of the Madras High Court. Here the responsibility rests with you, me, everybody to see to that the creditors, the workmen, the statutory authorities, all of them get something if there is nothing at all. Now, the third one is, when the previous speaker was saying, they were talking about interim finance. There were a lot of questions. The concept of litigation funding is yet to catch up with us. In the US, it is prevalent. There are companies which fund litigations under insolvency and bankruptcy. I will not be surprised because already 2 or 3 of them have been in dialogues with me. They are willing to provide for litigation funding. Now, this is where the IU support will be required to some extent to understand the nuances of the returns of the litigation funding. Now, the IRP cannot be expected always to have a fat purse to meet all the expenditure that happens in taking possession, in causing paper publication, in traveling and all those things. Now, IRP is empowered to raise interim finance. Now, how is he going to do it? If the committee of creditors say, no, we are not going to give you for this litigation expenses or whatever expenses, what is going to happen to the entire process under IBC? Therefore, litigation funding will soon catch up. Now I understand that people who are willing to give interim finances are trying to research whether such finances are legal or is it permissible under law. They are not able to come to a definite conclusion for the simple reason there is no specific stipulation by the court. So these are the three theories which soon will be under evolution to facilitate the IBC procedure. Now, the one lacuna I found out while comparing this IBC with the previous one, like Mr. Suryanarayanan had asked the previous speaker, what about the statutory dues? Now, of course, there are 5th or 6th place. But if you are not notified about the statutory dues, please understand it will be like putting the cart before the horse in proceeding in the liquidation, because in certain cases, in one of the cases I appeared for the operational creditor, got the order, appointed the IRP, told the operational creditor, please pay him 1 lakh advance paid, car provided, IRP goes there to take possession. We will not allow you inside, we are appointed by the ESI. Comes back, NCLT files a petition, takes a direction, takes the order. No, ESI has handed it over to the receiver. I am the receiver, I am not ESI. You go to the ESI. Again goes back, comes back, and he finds a P of receiver there. Now, is the IRP, RP expected to only take trips from between Coimbatore and Tirunelveli up and down between 2 points just to find out who is in possession? So this is where the question raised by Mr. Suryanan was very pertinent, that IU should have some information about the statutory dues. Now, one thing that I want all of you to just have a look on, what are the wordings of the Supreme Court in this judgment. The scheme of the court. They say this is an attempt by divesting the erstwhile management of its powers and vesting it in a professional agency to continue the business of the corporate body as a going concern until a resolution plan is drawn up, in which event the management is handed over under the plan so that the corporate body is able to pay back its debts and get back on its feet. All this is to be done within a period of 6 months, within a maximum extension of another 90 days, or else the chopper comes down and the liquidation process begins. This is the scheme of the court as per Supreme Court and in Innovative Industries Limited versus ICICI Bank. Now I am open to questions. These are the 4 case laws what I told you. Just summing up. Whether an erstwhile directors can maintain an appeal is the first case law what we were looking into. The next one is 14 days notice period, is it mandatory or directory? Then banker certificate, again mandatory or directory? Yes, sir. And one more is this withdrawing and settlement of the IBC cases. Again, Supreme Court has said if you are able to realize outside the court, please do it. But I think they have also made some recommendations to the MCA. Apart from this, apart from these 5 or 6 cases, I don't think there's any case that has been tested before the Supreme Court. I think there's one case which has gone up, but there the point is entirely different. What they're trying to say is whether the RP can demand possession of the unit from a statutory body, like income tax recovery officer has sealed it. Now can he take it up? But I'm not sure whether the appeal is filed. I'm open to questions. Yes, sir. Sir, if you see limitation, already NCLT's judgment is there. They say that 2016 the act came, so limitation act will not apply. That is again to be tested. I don't know how far they are correct. They say limitation will not apply for the only reason the act came into 2016, and they also say that a debt cannot be extinguished. The existence of a debt is there. Maybe your right to get back the money to sue him will go, but the debt remains. Under IBC, no. NCLT is very clear. I think we argued a case where they raised a point of limitation, but NCLT disagreed with them. Our debt was in 2012. We issued a notice in 2016, once the IBC came. Yeah.
So once the RP takes over the company, you said the directors are not involved. So what will happen to AGMs or so many things have to be done by the directors?
Sir, once an petition is admitted, same like 1956, all of them vacate the board. You see, once an IRP and RP, your idea of putting you there is only to keep the concern as ongoing. They are not concerned about you running the business until and unless there is a resolution plan which is acceptable by the CO, which is accepted by the COC to continue the business or give it in. But there is no way you're performing the functions of director to conduct an AGM. It's not going to happen. And you're not bound to do that. I'll give you one example. In Murugan Mills case, the liquidator continued to run the company to keep it as an ongoing concern. He moved an application before the Madras High Court and said, there are some excess cotton lying, I need to run the unit for 6 months. Okay, 6 months, workers are happy, diesel is paid and electricity is drawn, all the bills are paid. Liquidator found he was making a profit what the directors could not. So he tried to extend it, the court cut straight away, they shot him down. They said nothing doing, your job is to only there, 6 months is over, you shut down everything, these people are not able to service the creditors, go off. There's no question of any complaints of company laws concerned. If the petition is admitted, you are not warranted to follow any procedures insofar as the complaints is required. Not required, ma'am. That is exactly one more case where I had defended my good friend RP, Mr. Raghavendran from Coimbatore. He had filed 2 applications pointing out that they had truncated assets, they had falsified the records to the NCLT. Immediately 2 applications came to be filed before the NCLT. Remove the RP. First, why remove the RP? They showed some regulations of RP and then they said, they showed some regulations of the RP and said he is not being fair. And the second application came to be filed was, whatever was passed in the COC, expunge the minutes. Where the COC said, you take action, bring the money back to the company, they said you expunge the minutes. We got both the applications dismissed. There's no question of anything, any discussion with the corporate debtor. You can file it with the NCLT. You are supposed to file it with the NCLT. Your relief is going to be, direct the ex-director XYZ to bring back the money on account of so and so. If he sold any assets after the admission without the permission of the NCLT and without intimating the RP, set aside the alienation. Make the third party purchaser also as a party, bring him to the NCLT and you get the alienation cancelled. You're safe. That constitutes misfeasance, that constitutes malfeasance.
I have one situation here where the transaction itself was an extortionate trade transaction. The financial creditor, for the balance of that amount, files the application and the application is admitted. Now the IRP wants to take control of the company. The directors have sent him a letter that this transaction is an extortionate trade transaction because he says 18%, I have put a 49% interest, I give all the calculations. Ask him to take that matter on record. But the IRP is of the opinion that first you give the company to me because the NCLT has only authorized me to take the company. I will not see all this. First you give the company and accounts. I will make a claim. After all the damage is done, I will look into the matter. He preferred before the NCLT for election because the application itself was not received. He got the application. Now what is the way? You are telling that the IRP did not consult the corporate
Correct.
Such being the case, what is my recourse remedy?
Sir, it is a very hypothetical question, but I'll answer it.
No, it's a real.
No, I'm telling in law it's a very hypothetical question. Why? You're asking me, can I overtake from the right side or left side? In a country you're supposed to overtake on the right side. What will happen if I overtake on the left side? Just like that, the IRP once is submitted, if you see the order of the NCLT, there's a flow. They say the IRP shall take charge, moratorium is declared, and all those things. What the IRP can do, he can place an application before the NCLT, even before constituting a committee of creditors, and say that I went to possess, this is the information furnished to me, I am placing it for directions. Now, this is where the inherent powers of the NCLT come. They will tell you two things. I am not bothered, you go to COC. Or you furnish a copy to COC, discuss this in the meeting and then come back. Then we'll decide. In this case, previously as discussed, the NCLT said only the directors cannot go to an appeal. Nowhere they have said a shareholder cannot, contributory under the 1956 Act cannot, they didn't say. Have a shareholder to file an application, invoking the inherent powers, and point out, I am a shareholder of this company, please look, this is a fraud that has happened, okay, adjudicated, fine, now it is brought to the notice with all the records. Let them furnish the information, then IRP can take over. If the NCLT feels that my providing of information is false or bogus, then anyway he is going to take possession. Until then, what is going to happen? I will give an undertaking, I will not alienate the assets, I will not transfer money. That's it.
The other issue which I have is, during the process of CARP, corporate guarantor settles the loan with the bank. And the bank sends a letter to the RP stating that I don't want to be in the COC anymore because I have been settled. During the process, can it be done? Can he enter into a, can the bank who is in the COC enter into a separate transaction with the guarantor and take the money and leave?
What happens if that particular financial creditor is removed? Who will constitute the committee of creditors?
The rest will be there.
Correct?
Yes.
Now they should object, saying that you can't allow him to take money from the guarantor on account of this company. If it's a guarantor, their defense will be, personal guarantee alone I am satisfied. I don't want to make a claim against the company. That will be their defense. They are well within the defense. So the only way is the other creditors should be able to give corroborative evidence to say that this debt was settled on account of the company, not only on account of the personal guarantee. Then yes, the NCLT can say hold that money. Let's constitute a committee of creditors meeting and let them decide. Or you bring in that money through the RP into the common pool. Yes, sir. No, you tell me, sir. Suspended. Sir, again I am telling you, I agree that, I stand corrected. Vacated was under the erstwhile Companies Act, suspended is under the new IBC. Now it is suspended. Now please tell me, what is the effect of somebody vacating and somebody suspending office? let us not look at the literal meaning. Now we are on a practical law, which is on hands, not like the 1956 Act. The moment the board is suspended, that means no functions of the board can be exercised by anybody. As an IRP, are you the board? No. I'll just complete 1 minute. As an RP, are you the board? No. So therefore, are you required to comply with the provisions of the Companies Act once the petition is admitted? That is the question I will be asking myself if I was an IRP, rather than looking 3 years accounts. This is what I would like to say. They can't escape from the date of till the date of admission. Till the date of the admission of the petition, they cannot escape. Sir, for example, sir, I'll give you an example. If we are saying 1st April, the year starts for them. Say in June, July, the petition is filed. The petition is admitted in the next April. So he can't wriggle out for the previous transaction. He has to submit the accounts, no doubt about it. But what happens, will he be pulled up for violation of the Companies Act for not filing returns after this petition is admitted? It cannot be so. I'll tell you why. Because the IBC says it overrides all other acts being in force, and it is the one or two acts that are exempted says not in derogation of the Companies Act. This is the word that is used in the overriding provision. So as far as the Companies Act is applicable, only you have to look at it. As far as the Companies Act is applicable, only you have to look at it. If there is a specific provision for the RP to say, okay, I am deeming it fit that this unit has to go into liquidation and dissolve, then where is the question of filing the returns by the RP? I don't see. But if the RP finds that the ex-directors had in their possession all the books and they failed to file the returns, and he can report it to the NCLT and they can take cognizance. Now two things, like the madam asked me, can I file an application to the NCLT to bring back money taken? I would just reminded when he asked me this question. One, madam, money can come back, that is your civil action. The special court is not yet constituted under the Act. Once the special court comes, if you are only getting your money and keeping quiet, then people will point fingers at you. You have to file a prosecution before the special court to prosecute the directors for violating and taking out the money. We have given a simplicity solution to this, sir. We have advised all our IRPs and RPs coming to us saying that once you are appointed as IRP, please inform the ROC. It's practical. We have told, please inform the ROC, because his striking off will not have any effect on the RP or IRP functioning practically, because the RP only needs to sign on papers. There's no filing to be done on the MCA website. But for allowing the IRP and RP to have access to the annual returns and other things, we have told the IRP to immediately send the appointment order with due notice for information purpose to ROC. Ma'am, as an RP or as an IRP, it's not that you're just there to go, seal, sell and then distribute. There is a duty cast on you to even find out if there is anything that is happened which is not supposed to happen. For example, if there's fraud, if they have taken something which belonged to the company which was not supposed to be removed, if they have sold the assets of the company. For example, somebody else asked me the question about the directors getting back their money or repayment. All these things, how will you come to know if you don't look at the accounts? There, no, RP can do two things. One, there is no audited accounts. You need not even take the permission of the NCLT. You can have your own auditor to appoint it. Get the cost to the expenses. Two, you can have an investigation audit also done to find out whether any money has been taken or any assets, and then report it to the NCLT and ask for directions to bring back the money to the account of the company. Yes, sir. Sir, PF, as I know, is compulsory conviction. If there is a violation of payment of the basic provident fund, it results in compulsory violation. I think Vasanta Mills case is the only case where they acquitted a lady director. That's where they differentiated who's an active director, nominee director, and all those things. But it results in compulsory conviction. That cannot be escaped. So that proceeding will be independent. Now, most of the judgments of the NCLT say once moratorium is declared, nothing can happen. Others, people construe that nothing can happen. I'm sorry, the moratorium is not extended to criminal prosecution. It does not even apply to criminal prosecution. I have seen orders being passed in the NCLT, in other benches, where they give moratorium even for check cases and all. It is not correct. Because the law is there, maybe under the previous act, it's very clear that Negotiable Instrument Act or electricity theft, whatever is there, prosecutions will not be covered under moratorium. No, if there is a penal provision, any law with the penal provision is it regulatory only to make you pay fine, or is it fine coupled with imprisonment? If it's coupled with imprisonment, then it's a prosecutional offense. What I don't understand your question, sir. Whether is it covered under moratorium? Yes, it's a civil proceeding. It's covered, sir. No, you will have to come and report to the NCLT and say, please direct the auditor or the arbitrator to stop. And if he still violates, you bring him up for contempt. The contempt law was not there in the previous act. Now we have enough contempt laws. This NCLT has enough powers to bring them even behind bars. That was the...
The RP, in order to have a thing done, can approach the doors of NCLT for all matters.
Yes.
Including audit, which Madam said, where statutory auditor refuses to do the audit, the RP can get a direction from NCLT directing the auditor to perform the statutory audit.
Yes, he can, but what is the obligation of the statutory auditor? He will straight away say, boss, I don't have the books.
Different matter, he will resign.
It will be operation success, patient dead. No, practical. I am only talking about practical purpose.
No, what I'm trying to say is, for all this, the doors of NCLT can be knocked in order to have the RP's life easier.
See, lot of people ask me, what kind of direction I can get under 19? It just says direction under. I am telling you, you ask whatever you want. You ask whatever you want, but it should be judicious. That's the only criteria for invoking inherent power or discretionary power of the NCLT. It has to be workable and the remedy should be effective. Any other questions, sir? Sir, there's no question of binding on anybody, sir. Do you want to, it's like a doctrine of election. A foreign creditor, do you have an agreement, you have an arbitration clause, you want to go under arbitration, or you want to file a default before information utility and come to IBC. IBC does not talk about any national, it talks about a default by an Indian company. So therefore, if the foreign person who has given you advance wants to come and initiate proceedings under IBC, he is well within his powers. That's the exemption for mandatory of this banker's certificate. That's what one of the points Supreme Court discussed. In foreign foreign banks, they may not be able to give this certificate, so it is not very. So it has to be only done with the see what will happen is NCLT gives you the status of an IRP, you get converted to RP and then you get converted to liquidator, right? These are three compartments in the entire process. Now once the petition is admitted and you are appointed, where is the question of the director? He stands as a suspended director. You go and please give the admission order of the NCLT to the bank and tell them, hey boss, I am supposed to sign, you allow me to sign. Many cases, many. What they said was that you don't need to change, but you have to be a joint signatory, or you have to be kept informed for the purpose of running the business as an ongoing concern only on practical difficulties. They did not say no IRP can be kept out. No, but again, there, I don't know, sir, what is the sticky issue with your case, but I'll tell you this. If the COC says don't do it, and you want to do it, then you are on soup. But then if you say my justification is to keep it as an ongoing concern, is not a botheration because the COC's headache, they decided don't do it. But if you go ahead and give it, then you are again in trouble. No, not only that, and if you no, one more thing I want to ask you, sir. You being the IRP, how it's only academic, nothing pointed at you. How justified are you in taking advances when the company is under duress? This is not a commercial decision that you need to make. This is what we have to be cautiously progressing. Are we justified in allowing the company to take advances knowing pretty well that this company is in soup? This is where the rules of the IRP, if I was to appear against you, the first thing I will say is, please look, the company is under IBC. How is the IRP going and allowing him to take advances? So he is joining hands with him and they're trying to do something and in detrimental interest of the creditors, both secure and unsecured. Just giving you an example. Petrol, diesel, electricity. For example, I can be the IRP of any well-known hospital. Can I go and pull the plug from the ICU? That cannot happen. Yes. That's it. I hope. Anything else? Please feel free. Sir, some cases are very effective. They are able to, some of them are able to, get what they want. Some of them who are not either what do you say, chartered accountants or the company secretaries, but come out of different background as IRP, they are finding it difficult to, you know. No, no, there are even persons who come from outside to operate in Chennai, sir. No, sir. See, the solution to this is there should be an association of all the RPs and IRPs. You should all stand together and be tied up like a bundle where you cannot be easily broken. That will be the real solution. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, sir, for sharing your experience on liquidation and bringing us on board. Request Mr. Krishna Chaitanya to come and give a small memento to Advocate Dhanraj. He's come all the way from Nellore for this session today. Thank you. We'll just have next 5-10 minutes of amendments in IBC by Mr. Ramana.
Dear friends, good evening. Sorry for the contrast in attire between the previous speaker and me. I didn't realize that I would be asked to give this update, but for whatever, thanks for the opportunity. Between last meeting and the current meeting, we thought that the study group should carry on what happened in the last month, at least for a small brief period, to understand that it is going to be an ongoing process to go about. So between last meeting and this meeting, first was the amendments in the finance bill 2018, especially with respect to the IBC code. I'll just take it small. I'll be carrying coal to Newcastle if I start explaining 79 to the auditors here, but what I would like to say that nothing in section 79 for the carry forward of loss of the amalgamating companies and other companies, section 79, where there is a change in the shareholding pattern. Section 79 was restricted earlier. Now on account of a resolution plan, if there is a change in shareholding, section 79 would not be applicable, is the amendment, is the proposed amendment rather. I'll just read the clause. Provided that nothing contained in this section, section 79, shall apply to a company where a change in the shareholding takes place in the previous year pursuant to a resolution plan approved under the IBC code. It has to be an approved resolution plan, and consequent to it, the shareholding pattern gets altered. It also says that change in shareholding, okay, no loss incurred will be held. And the similar application to a MAT situation, where the MAT, the resolution plan, approved resolution plan will not have an effect on the MAT, is the other important amendment which has been recommended. And during the course of IBC, CARP, there has to be a return filed by